Hello everyone, I hope you've all been keeping safe and well. Today's story is The Hound of the Baskervilles. In the moors of Devon, in the park that surrounded his manor, Charles Baskerville was found dead. His friends and family were told that it was a heart attack that had killed Charles, but his good friend, Dr. James Mortimer, was not convinced, and so went to seek the advice of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. "It just doesn't add up," said Dr. Mortimer. "When they found Charles, he had this terrified look on his face, and not far from his body were these ginormous footprints, which I believe belonged to a hound," said Mortimer. He told Watson and Holmes that the Baskerville family had been under a curse for many, many years. "It all started," said Dr. Mortimer, "when an ancestor of Charles, Hugo Baskerville, he abducted this farm girl, and one night she managed to escape, and so Hugo went after her. But after Hugo went two of his friends to stop him from kidnapping the girl for a second time. When his two friends arrived at the scene, Hugo and the girl were dead." Dr. Mortimer continued the tale. "The girl, she died of exhaustion and fright, but Hugo had had his throat ripped out by this great black dog, and the demon beast has been haunting the family ever since." Now, Dr. James Mortimer did not want Holmes and Watson to investigate the case. He simply wanted their advice. "Do you think I should tell Sir Henry Baskerville, the new heir of Baskerville Manor, about this curse?" Well, Sherlock Holmes did not believe in curses, and he thought it to be utter nonsense, but he agreed to meet Sir Henry in London. On meeting Sir Henry, Holmes discovered that he too believed the curse to be utter drivel, and he was keen to take over Baskerville Manor. "There is one thing, though," said Sir Henry. "What is it?" said Holmes. "I've received a note." Sir Henry showed Holmes the note. The note simply said, "Stay away." "Oh dear," said Holmes. "Very well, Sir Henry. What you shall do is you shall go to Baskerville Manor, but I will send Dr. Mortimer and Dr. Watson with you for protection." "Okay," said Sir Henry. And the next day the trio arrived at Baskerville Manor, where they were met by the butler and his wife. They had been watching over the place whilst everyone else was away. On arrival, the butler told Sir Henry that he should be quitting as soon as possible and leaving the manor. "Very well," said Sir Henry. "And another thing," said the butler. "You three should know that there is an escaped convict hiding in the hills that surround the manor. His name is Selden, and he may be dangerous." "Very well," said Sir Henry. "Marvellous." Sir Henry was not too pleased about his new accommodation. That night the three were kept awake by the sound of a dog howling, and the butler patrolled the halls all night, making them feel so uneasy. The next day, Dr. Watson decided to take a walk into the neighbourhood to see who and what he could find. On his walk, he met a man who introduced himself as Jack Stapleton. "Yes, lovely to meet you. I'm a very good friend of the Baskervilles, and I know all about this dreaded curse," said Jack to Watson. He seemed somewhat over-friendly to Dr. Watson, but nice, but peculiar. Further on in his walk, Dr. Watson met a lady called Beryl. Beryl mistook Dr. Watson for Sir Henry. "You must go back to London and leave now," she said to Watson, believing he was Sir Henry. But before she had time to finish her sentence, Jack Stapleton reappeared. "Ah, Dr. Watson, I see you've met my sister, Beryl." "Oh, your sister? Yes, we've met." "Dr. Watson," said Beryl. "Apologies, I thought that you were Sir Henry." No, I'm Dr. Watson." "Ah." But Beryl refused to tell Watson why she was so keen for Sir Henry to leave London. That night, as Dr. Watson was going to bed and drawing his curtains, he noticed something in the window across the way. It was the butler. He had his candlestick in one hand, and he was signalling to someone on the moors. "How very odd," thought Watson. "I shall tell Sir Henry about this tomorrow." And so he did, and him and Sir Henry decided that they would see if the butler did this again the following night. Sure enough, he did. Sir Henry was furious. He marched straight up to the butler's room, knocked on his door, and fired him on the spot. "You're trying to conspire against me, I know it," said Sir Henry. But it was the butler's wife that came forward. No, you've got it all wrong, she said. We are signalling to someone in the moors. It's my brother. My brother is Selden, the escaped convict. Ah, said Sir Henry. And so the next day, Watson and the butler went up into the hills on the moors to see if they could track Selden down. They weren't able to find him, but whilst they were up there, Watson noticed another mysterious figure in the moors. He didn't catch sight of his face, but he couldn't help wonder, if there's other men up here, how many more could there be? Meanwhile, Sir Henry and Beryl had been growing closer and closer, and she kept feeding him bits of information. She told Sir Henry that before Charles had died, he had been seeing a lady in the village called Laura Lyons. She'd been writing him notes, she told Sir Henry. She wrote to him on the day he died, asking to meet him in the place where he died. Sir Henry passed this information on to Watson, and Watson arranged to meet Laura. On meeting her, Laura admitted straight away to writing the notes. I was writing to him, said Laura. Charles had agreed to give me some money, so I was able to get a divorce. I wrote to him on the day he died, but didn't keep my engagement to meet him, for I managed to get the money from somewhere else. Very good, said Watson. Enough questions for today. On leaving Laura's house, Watson heard whispers and rumours that a young farm boy had been taking up food to a man in a hut on the hills in the moors. Everyone believed the man in the hut to be Selden, but Watson had other ideas. I bet the man in the hut is the mysterious man I spotted the other day. And so Watson went up into the hut and waited for the mysterious man. The door of the hut opened to reveal none other than Watson's good friend, Sherlock Holmes. Apologies, dear Watson, said Holmes. My secrecy was dependent on my investigations, and I have made some discoveries. Holmes told Watson that Laura Lyons had been seeing Jack Stapleton and had hoped for the two to get married, but could not marry him, for he was already married. Who to? Said Watson. To Beryl, said Holmes. No, impossible, said Watson. They're brother and sister. No, they're not. Turns out that Beryl was in fact Jack's legitimate wife. I believe, said Holmes. I don't have enough evidence to prove it, but I believe Jack has been abusing and forcing Beryl into seducing Sir Henry so she can expose him to the fangs of the Hound. While they were having this conversation, they heard an almighty scream coming from outside the hut. The two of them ran outside, looked down the cliff to see a dead body. It's Sir Henry, said Watson. But as they got closer and rolled the body over, they discovered it was not Sir Henry. It was, in fact, Selden, the escaped convict, wearing Sir Henry's clothes. When more people came to the scene of the crime, the butler said, I had given my brother-in-law some of Sir Henry's old clothes to keep him warm whilst he was up in the hills. Ah, said Holmes. The Hound must have thought it was Sir Henry, so the Hound is after Sir Henry. When Jack Stapleton arrived on the scene and discovered the body was not Sir Henry, but in fact Selden, he appeared visibly shaken. It's Jack Stapleton. I know it, said Holmes, but I don't have the evidence to condemn him. What we need, Watson, is a plan. And a plan is what they came up with. Holmes and Watson pretended to leave for London on the train. They told Sir Henry to accept an invitation to the Stapletons for dinner. After dinner, Sir Henry would have to walk home alone in the dark. So if Jack wanted to set the Hound on Sir Henry, it would be his perfect opportunity. But of course, Holmes and Watson would be waiting in the wings. That night, Sir Henry left the Stapletons after dinner and walked home in the dark. Sure enough, Jack sent the Hound out for him. But Watson and Holmes managed to kill the beast. On hearing what had happened, Jack Stapleton fled his home, ran into the dark, tripped and drowned in the mire. After his death, Holmes and Watson discovered that Jack Stapleton's real name was in fact Roger Baskerville. Roger had been living in America, where he married Beryl. He had embezzled some public money, and so was forced to come to England with a new name. Once in England, he put his money into opening a school, and hired someone to make the school a success. However, the man he hired died of typhus, and so did 3 of the students, forcing the school to shut down. With absolutely nothing left, Roger decided to come to the home of his ancestors to see if he could claim the Baskerville fortune. "I believe," said Sherlock, "that knowing only one life stood between him and Baskerville Manor, that Roger decided to kill Charles Baskerville. After Charles had died, it was then that Roger discovered Sir Henry's existence and so set his sights onto killing Sir Henry." "It's funny," said Holmes. "History has truly repeated itself here. Roger's crimes echo that of Hugo's wrongdoings all those years ago. It seems that the Hound is not the only curse in the Baskerville family." And then Holmes and Watson left for London, really this time, and left Sir Henry in his new home, Baskerville Manor. Thank you so much for listening to that. Again, that is a very, very shortened down version for the purpose of this video. If you did enjoy that very short telling of The Hound of the Baskervilles, please do grab a copy of the book. It is wonderful. Lots more twists and turns in the book. I hope you all have a lovely week. I'll be back soon with some more stories. Look after yourself and stay safe. See you later.